Welcome back to the Richard Sherman podcast. And football season has officially begun. The Philadelphia Eagles and the Dallas Cowboys go at it. What a game. But the storyline from this game is what happens before the game even really gets going. Jalen Carter spits on Dak Prescott, is kicked out of the game. Everybody's up in arms. Everybody's trying there's no way to defend it. That was stupid. That was stupidity. That was dumb. There's really not a ton to say there. I'm sure Jalen will admit that just wasn't smart. That wasn't a smart play. There's nothing to defend there. The Eagles lose their best defensive player before he even takes a snap in this game. It's unfortunate, but it gives the Dallas Cowboys a chance to play the Philadelphia Eagles for 4 quarters without their best defensive player, and they gave the Philadelphia Eagles all they could handle. Dak Prescott was incredibly efficient early on, hitting his receivers, hitting his tight ends. Javonte Williams looked really good. Miles Sanders had a few plays in there that he looked really good before a huge, disastrous fumble ended his run in this game. I don't think he played another snap after that. And obviously the Philadelphia Eagle fans are very, very familiar with Miles Sanders and what he can do. I don't think that was I know everybody's bringing up what Dak Prescott did, and oh my God, did you see Dak Prescott spit on the ground in front of Jalen Carter? Yeah, I did, but it doesn't matter. Or if you're telling me, hey, all people got to do is antagonize Jalen Carter, and you can get him kicked out of the game. Y'all are about to see people antagonize Jalen Carter every single game this season. If that's all it takes to get a player of his caliber kicked out of a football game, guys are going to be trying him left and right until he proves that he can keep his temper. He can be the leader that he's been because he means too much to his team. And I'm sure that's what Nick Sirianni is telling him. I'm sure that's what his teammates are telling him. They were able to come out of this game with a win. I would be really, 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 really surprised if the NFL doesn't come down and suspend him for another game just because of the embarrassment, because the amount of eyes that are on this game. It's opening day for the National Football League. There's no other games on. It's primetime TV. It's the Super Bowl champions, and you spit on a quarterback from the other team during a break. Like, nobody else is doing anything. Now, I can give you guys a little background, a little bit of the underworkings, the underworld of the National Football League. Does stuff like this happen? No question about it. It happens. It's a dirty, nasty game. You get if you would have told me Jalen Carter, they sacked Dak Prescott, he was at the bottom of a pile or something, and he rolled over and spit on him, it wouldn't really surprise me that much. There's some crazy stuff that goes on at the bottom of piles, and guys frustrated, guys clawing, poking at eyes, doing a lot of other stuff. But to do it out in the open, right in front of the referee during a stoppage, to the quarterback, that's one of the craziest I've ever seen. Obviously, there was a few calls in this game that I didn't agree with. The taunting call on Noah Smith, I didn't really agree with. I didn't agree with that call. That was a dumb call. I understand they don't want people taunting, but he wasn't standing over him and restricting his ability to get up and move and go. I don't even think Javonte Williams or Miles Sanders, whoever it was, I don't even think they noticed him. So I thought that was a lot. The hit on Blankenship that was called. Again, I don't know where you want him. Where you want him to go with that? You want him to have foresight and future sight and be like, oh my God, the receiver's going to drop to the ground and he's going to drop the ball. So just try to jump over him and avoid him. Football's happening way too fast. He's panicked. He's seeing, hey, I got to get on the beeline to this receiver. Ball's in his hand. All he sees is, hey, ball is in the hand. I need to dislodge that ball with force. It's going to be a tough game to play if plays like that are continued to officiate or officiated that way in the future. I don't like it. But I thought this was a really fantastic game. I thought that the Dallas Cowboys defense really showed some tenacity, especially after the weather delay. There was a long 45-minute weather delay, and I thought the Dallas Cowboys came out with energy. You heard on the broadcast, hey, they said they want to be unleashed, and they came out with a chip on their shoulder, a ferocity that I really could appreciate. I could appreciate them playing with their hair on fire. I think they were a little outmatched. I think the Philadelphia Eagles are a better team, obviously a more talented team at this point, but they're coming off a Super Bowl win, and I thought the Dallas Cowboys defense held their own. I did see Kenny Clark, for him to just get there a week ago, made an impact in the game. I think he had a half a sack. You can see Dante Fowler had got back there and made an impact. Uh, I really loved and appreciated that. They lost this game, but I think that was a win. I think Eberflus will take this defense and look at that tape and be proud of the effort they put in and the strides that they took during that game against a very elite offense, a very talented offense. And on the other side, you look at the Philadelphia Eagles. Jalen Hurts, pretty efficient, only 152 yards passing. They ran it for a little over 160. He ran for 60 of it, but Saquon Barkley was held to 3.3 yards a carry as a defense. You'll take that every day of the week. Um, they did have some plays I'm sure they will want back, but the head scratcher was why they didn't target A.J. Brown more. And I could tell from the TV copy to a degree that they're clouding him. That's what you do to a top receiver. You put a safety over the top, you squat the corner inside, and you take him away in that game. But and AJ Brown is the X, so I know even I'm like, hey, you should be able to motion him, you should be able to move him. When you're an X receiver, you own the ball. You can't move. You're not moving. But they could have changed some things. They could have manipulated the offense to move AJ Brown and get creative and get your best receiver open and get him some touches. They didn't. They still won the game, so it's an irrelevant point now. But I think it's something in the future they're going to have to look at because the answer can't be just Cloud and AJ Brown and you take him out of the game. Like you got to be able to run the football. You got to be able to take him out. You got to be able to run him out of that coverage so that he can get more opportunities and your offense can be more efficient. Um, I thought the Philadelphia Eagles defense was solid, especially losing Jalen Carter. They kind of had to scramble. I think they still put pressure on Dak Prescott and his Cowboys offensive line. Um, I thought Adoree Jackson had an up and down day. I think if teams continue to see him struggle like that, they're going to target him until he finds a way to be more consistent and finds a way to stand up. I knew Darius Slay. Everybody's like, he's too old. He's not this. He's that. He's that. Darius Slay held his own and strapped. Was never a liability out there. Never a guy that was going to be consistently targeted or picked on by any stretch of the imagination. And now they have unproven corners. And even young Quinyon, I think they went after him a few times. He held his own against George Pickens. Who we got to talk about because he had a solid game, made some solid catches, but a bonehead play may have cost the Dallas Cowboys 4 points in that drive. They had just came off a big play down the field. He throws Blankenship to the ground, gets a foul call, and it backs him up to I think 2nd and 22. A momentum killing play. Then they get a penalty on Blankenship the next play, and then they turn the ball over, and the rest is history. But, yeah, I just think the Philadelphia Eagles are going to have to really monitor that corner opposite of Quinyon Mitchell and see what they really want to do. Because if Adoree Jackson, who did make some plays late in the game, he made a play in the second quarter, a PBU on CeeDee Lamb that got knocked in the air and almost intercepted. That was a great play. But I think teams are going to see this tape and think, hey, we can go after this guy. We can find something there. There aren't a lot of weaknesses to this defense. And if there is a chink in the armor, it's right there where Adoree Jackson is. And until he shows consistency and stands up, I think that's where people are going to go. Um, but this was a great game. The Philadelphia Eagles, Jalen Hurts, they picked up where they left off. Um, they won this game. It's a huge game to start the season off with a division win. It would have been a bigger game if the Dallas Cowboys could have somehow stole this game. That would be a much bigger story, especially with the way Jalen Carter started this game off and everything with the weather delay. Dallas, it was the perfect scenario for them to steal one out in Philadelphia. That would have been demoralizing to this fan base, to this team. But again, champions find a way, and the Philadelphia Eagles found a way. That's why they're number one in the power rankings. Super Bowl champs. You number one. Another story is CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb stat line was great. 7 catches for 110, but 3 huge drops in the game. The one of them I'm not going to put on him. It was the last play for the Dallas Cowboys. He dove and tried to make a play on 4th down. Tried to make an incredible catch. If he'd have made that, that would have been a really, really, really amazing catch. But the other two are really inexcusable for a player of his caliber. He's a top 5 receiver in the National Football League. He plays that way. He shows up. He does his thing. He had a post route on 1st down, a big play. Dak Prescott let the ball loose. Perfect ball right in the breadbasket. CeeDee Lamb has to come up with that. I think they find a way to get in the end zone with that. That would have put him deep into the red zone with plenty of time to play, plenty of time to figure it out, and potentially won that game. And that was a play that you would have been like, hey, of course CeeDee Lamb made that catch. You know, he's a top receiver. You expect that of him. So those drops, obviously his first game of the season, those are uncharacteristic drops for him, but those are ones you got to have. There was a play, a 3rd down, where Dak found him again right over the middle, right through his hands, popped up, almost intercepted. Again, another play you have to have. You're the best player on that offense. A guy that they're going to in those situations. I'm sure he's saying the same thing in the press conference. He's like, hey, I got to have those. You know, I'm a guy. But I got to note that CeeDee Lamb led the NFL with 11 drops last season. Oh, and oh my God. I got a note that says CeeDee Lamb led the NFL with 11 drops last season, and George Pickens was the worst of all qualifying receivers with 13.2 drop rate. That's going to be tough. You're going to have to fix that, especially in games like this where you can't have it. You know, those are the plays that could have changed the trajectory of this game. He catches that post. I think Dallas Cowboys win this ball game and still won in Philadelphia. When you're playing against the defending champs, the margin for error is very, 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 very small. So you got to make those plays, and they didn't. They didn't. So I'm sure he's going to be beating himself up about those plays and about those. Dak Prescott, I thought, put the ball where only his guy could get it. I thought he played a better game than the stat sheet says. I thought his receivers let him down at times. He was the victim of a few PI calls that they, moved the ball down. And I think it was a 34-yard PI call. That probably would have been a grab. But you can't have those drops when you're throwing it to your best player. But I thought this was a fantastic game to start the season. We are excited to announce our new presenting sponsor, Hard Rock Bet. You know the Hard Rock hotels and casinos. And now you can use the top-rated Hard Rock Bet sportsbook to place bets all NFL season long and beyond. Hard Rock Bet is the only legal sports book in the state of Florida and is also available in Arizona, Ohio, New Jersey, Indiana, Tennessee, Virginia, Illinois, and Colorado, with more states launching all the time. You can also play on Hard Rock Bet's online casino if you're in New Jersey. From here on out, Mitch and I will be using the Hard Rock Bet lines when we're talking about games. We'll also be doing some live shows and some meet and greets at the Hard Rock properties in Florida. As we gear up for the NFL season, sign up for Hard Rock Bet and make a $5 bet, and you'll get $150 in bonus bets if you win. Head over to Hard Rock Bet, sign up, and make your first deposit today. We got a lot of great games on Sunday. The Seattle Seahawks and the San Francisco 49ers are squaring off in Seattle. I think it's going to be a fantastic game. Ooh, there's some news though. Jauan Jennings gets a contract. It looks like he got offered three 3 years, 16 million per year, and he turned it down. 3 years, 48 million, and he turned it down to get a little more incentive-based deal this year and be able to hit free agency and potentially cash in a big way. That's a man who's betting on himself, a man who thinks, hey, I'm going to go out there and prove I can do it again, and I respect that. Um, I think it's going to be great for the San Francisco 49ers. It's great for him. And if he plays like he's capable of, I'm sure they'll revisit it mid-season and see if if he's interested in taking a deal and getting an extension worked out with the San Francisco 49ers, because he's a guy that embodies what they stand for as a team, what they stand for as an organization. And I can't wait to watch him play. I'm excited that he's playing. In other news, everybody else is seemingly healthy. There's a little noise about Christian McCaffrey and a calf that popped up today, and he was limited in practice after not being on the injury report. I know, I know, I know. I don't, I don't. I don't have any information, Niners fans. I don't have any information, but I'm hoping for the best. Hopefully, it's just a little hiccup. It happens. It's a process when you're coming back from injury. You have little dings, you have little hiccups at times. Hopefully, it's nothing serious, and it's just a glitch in the matrix, and he's able to be healthy and play this Sunday. Um, Obviously, it's going to be a grind. There's been health issues all around for the San Francisco 49ers. They're going to have to get through this game. On the opposite side, the Seattle Seahawks are relatively healthy. Just got a lot of unknowns, just like the San Francisco 49ers. You got some unknowns on the D-line that'll get to prove their point. They'll get to either prove you're right or prove you're wrong, and prove they got some things to work on, or prove, hey, these are the guys that they drafted and they came in ready to play. We won't know that until after Sunday. We'll get a great view of what this D line has to offer. Mikael Williams, CJ West, obviously Nicholas John Bosa will be there. Alfred Collins will I'm sure will rotate in there. You got to see what they got. And there's no way for me to predict that. Yeah, not even through preseason and practice and all that. It doesn't always show you exactly what a guy could be terrible in the preseason and go out there and dominate in a real game. A guy who could be skating through practice and go out there and be a gamer. A guy could be dominating in practice and never show up never flash on game tape. You can never predict those things. We'll see. Health is the biggest concern for the San Francisco 49ers. Like I said before, in order for this to work as a top-heavy team, the superstars have to be healthy. It's the Christian McCaffreys, the George Kittles, Brock Purdy obviously has to be healthy. Nicholas John Bosa, Trent Williams, Deommodore Lenoir, Fred Warner. They have to be healthy. They have to be. Those are the have-tos. Those are the guys you have to have. If you have them, they can compete with anybody in the National Football League. But if you lose one, things get rocky. The foundation starts to crack. So that's the thing that I'm most concerned about, and it scares me every time I look on the injury report and see some unexpected news, like we did with Christian McCaffrey. But again, hopefully it's nothing serious. On the other side, the Seattle Seahawks are relatively healthy. Again, they got a new scheme, new quarterback, a new pass catcher in Cooper Kupp. JSN is now the number one guy after trading away DK Metcalf and letting Tyler Lockett go. I think the tight ends will factor in for this team. I think Charbonnet will factor in. Obviously, K9 will factor in. I think Sam Darnold in this scheme is in the same or similar scheme that he was in while he was thriving with the Minnesota Vikings. So I think, again, they're putting him in his comfort zone, allowing him to play fast. He's processing just as fast as he was in Minnesota. I think the offensive line is gelling in a big way for the Seattle Seahawks. Defensively, I think second year in Mike Macdonald's scheme, in his scheme. I think the guys understand it more. They're more confident. Leonard Williams, Jaron Reed, those guys. Demarcus Lawrence feels really confident. I mean, I think he doesn't get enough credit for what he was doing in Dallas, and I think he's going to turn a lot of heads with his performance for the Seattle Seahawks. I think he's going to be a game wrecker for this defense and this D line. I think there's a lot of attitude to this defense. I think there's a ton of attitude in the back end. I feel really good about Julian Love and Spoon and Reek, Kobe Bryant. Obviously, Nick Emmanwori is going to be the X factor for this team. Obviously, last year things changed for this defense when they injected Ernest Jones and Tyrese Knight into the lineup. Obviously, they're starting the season off with those guys at the helm. It's going to be an incredible season. I think those guys understand they are the perfect fit for what Mike McDonald likes to do with his linebackers. That's the part I think is going to take this team to the next level. The D-line is going to be ferocious. I mean, you're forgetting about Byron Murphy, the first-round pick for the Seattle Seahawks. Demarcus Lawrence, Jaron Reed. I think this is going to be one of the better defensive lines in the National Football League, and I think it's going to cause some issues. I'm excited to see this defensive line versus the San Francisco 49ers offensive line. That's going to be one of the big determining factors in this game is who wins that matchup. Obviously, the receivers and the back end against the back end is going to be a matchup. George Kittle versus Nick Emmanwori or whoever the Seattle Seahawks put on him is going to be another matchup because that's where the San Francisco 49ers are going to have to be with it. They're going to have to feature George Kittle in this offense if they're going to expect to win this ball game. You're going to depend on Ricky Purcell and the young receivers a little bit, but you're going to lean on your veterans when crunch time comes, and I think that's where Brock Purdy's going to be with it. Jauan Jennings, third and Jauan is still going to be a thing. I don't think they're going to say, oh, man, he hasn't been practicing. We're not going to depend on him. He's a guy that can separate in the phone booth. So he's a guy they're going to continue to look for on third down, and he's going to factor into this game in a big way. Again, he's the attitude. He's the muscle for this team, and he sets the tone. And I guarantee you he's going to go out there in a rivalry game and try to set the tone against the Seattle Seahawks. But at the same time, you saw the Seattle Seahawks versus the Green Bay Packers, and there was a big fight, and Ernest Jones was in the middle of it. And then you saw Spoon, and you saw everybody. Nobody's backing down. It seemed like they wanted all the folk. They wanted all the smoke. And that's what you want to see from your defense. So I can't wait to watch this game. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be fun. And then in other news, I heard Ryan Clark doesn't think Tom Brady, Drew Brees, or Peyton Manning were generational talents. Oh, my God. Ryan, how could you say that? It is not as crazy as it may sound. It does sound crazy, but hear me out. They weren't. There are more talented players. And if you listen to Tom speak the other day, he talked about Aaron Rodgers. He talked about Aaron Rodgers may be the most talented thrower of the football to ever play the game. And I understand why he's saying that. I played against Aaron. Oh my God, it's art. It's watching an artist in his element. I mean, he could flick the ball and it go 80 yards. It's really incredible what he could do with a football. That's why he won 4 MVPs. But it's not the shot at Tom Brady, Drew Brees, or Peyton Manning that people think it is. Like, for example, Jerry Rice, the GOAT, greatest receiver of all times. I don't think it's a debate. It wasn't a generational talent necessarily. He ran 4.6. Is that generational speed? It's not. It's not. He was a generational player, no question about it. He's the greatest of all time. Those two don't necessarily have to be married. A generational talent and a generational player aren't necessarily the same thing. There are some generational talents that aren't generational players. There are some combine testers that are generational talent. Their measurables are generational. But Tom Brady, Drew Brees, and Peyton Manning's measurables were not generational. They weren't. Now, some of the quarterbacks nowadays, like you look at Josh Allen, a lot of his measurables are generational. Justin Herbert, generational measurables. Trevor Lawrence, probably generational measurables. Like, those are measurables you only see once in a while. That kind of arm strength, that kind of athleticism mixed with the accuracy, et cetera, the arm, the arm movement, the whatever, the arm talent. Like, that's not a shot at those guys. It's more of a compliment. Hey, what they were blessed with, the reason Tom Brady went 6th round is because they didn't have the athleticism. It wasn't impressive to all these scouts, but what he had made him a generational player. How he played with what God gave him is what made him a generational talent. That made him a generational player, the GOAT, the greatest of all time. He played great during the greatest moments and the biggest moments. He played big football. He was accurate. He was decisive. He was tough as nails. The GOAT. That's not a shot at Tom to say, oh man, Tom Brady, he wasn't that good. Like, it's just a different element. It's like, hey, if you talk about receivers, was Jerry a generation? No, but Randy Moss was a generational talent. Megatron, Calvin Johnson, generational, 6'5", running 4'2", jumping 42 inches. Like, generational aliens. They're freaks. Doesn't mean that that Jerry Rice isn't the GOAT. It just does. He's not a generational talent. That's not generational. The measurables that he had. I wouldn't say I was a generational talent. You know what I mean? You can find corners that run 4.5, that's 6'3", that jump 38 inches in a vertical, 11-foot broad jump. You can find them. Just can't find ones as good as me. Generational players and generational talents are two different things. So agree to disagree with everybody, but I hear what Ryan's saying. I mean, and I'm sure Tom wouldn't say disagree. I wouldn't be offended by what he's saying. He's not saying, oh, Tom Brady wasn't the GOAT. He's just saying generational talent in the way it's defined, he wasn't. Is what it is. 16 black quarterbacks to start in the NFL on opening day. Love to see it. Evolution. The evolution of the game. We got 16 black quarterbacks. We got a couple white cornerbacks. NFL's changing, baby. NFL is changing. And I love to see it. It's what a good night. It's a late night. And this is why I hate primetime games, because it's midnight and the Dallas Cowboys won't get home till 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning. But I appreciate you guys joining me, as always, on the Richard Sherman podcast. You could be anywhere in the world, but you're here with me. Remember, hit that sub button if you're new. We try to get to 1 million subscribers if we can do it, and we cannot do it without you hitting that sub button. So please, baby, do it for me. All love and respect. We'll see you next time.